Whether your team made it or not, the Super Bowl is a time to get together and enjoy some football, but many would argue what's even more enjoyable is the food. If you're still putting together a game day menu, we have you covered. Twin Cities blogger and chef Lindsay Guentzel is back with us tonight with a treat that's sure to please every football fan, maybe even movie fans.
Yes.
Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thanks so much for having me.
So what I see out here, I often think about movies, late night snack, maybe that at work little bit snack, but we're going to bring this to the Super Bowl giant table of food
Yes,
tonight.
I'm taking sweet and salty and adding a little savory, and I'm doing it with a local angle, so it is the perfect food to get set for tomorrow's big game.
I'm excited.
Yes.
So we have multiple things on the
We've got lots going on,
here.
and we're on a time crunch, so we're going to get started in the pan here. I've got some bacon fat. So before I got started, I cooked my bacon in this pan. I kept the fat in there. I pulled the bacon out. You can see it right here. It's nice and crispy.
I tried it. It's crispy.
Snuck a piece. I used a towel to kind of get off some of that extra oil, set it aside. So I've got the bacon fat in there. That's going to give the caramel sauce a really, really nice savory flavor. I've added in some butter. I'm going to add in the brown sugar, and we're basically just making a very simple caramel sauce. Now, my middle school science teacher is going to cringe because I can't tell you any of the specifics behind it, but what I can tell you is that while you're making it, be very careful to avoid using metal utensils because it'll just sometimes, not always, it can mess up the process. So you add in your brown sugar, you're gonna get it nice and blended, just mix it up nice and gently, and then you're just gonna let it sit there on medium heat, and we'll start to see this kind of bubble together.
Yeah.
So it's gonna combine, and so while that cooks, but we got a couple of minutes, this is one of those things, don't look at your phone, don't go to the bathroom.
You're going to be back here before you know it.
You're going to be back, and if you don't get there in time, it's going to burn and it's going to taste awful.
Yeah, we don't
so
want that.
yeah, we're going to be paying attention to this.
Perfect for this segment then.
Yeah, so the local angle, Smoothies. Now, Smoothies brand is from Pierce, Minnesota. They started by making sunflower oil, and a few years ago introduced this popcorn, and I'm obsessed. Have you had this before? You have?
I will tell people that you get tricked into thinking there's butter on it when there's not. I don't know, it's like magic. And I try to convert anybody that comes over to my place that this is the popcorn they need to get.
I love
shout out
that.
Smoothies.
Yes, so it's so great. It's 3 ingredients, and I'm a label checker. I read labels. I can't read the labels on a lot of microwavable popcorn because there's chemicals, there's preservatives, you know, that yellow film you get on your fingers when you're done eating it. So this is popcorn, sunflower oil, and salt. Made locally. You can get it, Lunds & Byerly's, Kowalski's, Coburn's, online. It's wonderful. So this is a great base for what we're going to be doing here.
So you pre-popped a couple of bags here?
I pre-popped 3 bags. The trick is to shake the bag really well so any of those loose kernels get to the bottom because you don't want to be serving that.
Yeah.
That is a trip to the dentist waiting to happen.
Exactly.
So we'll go back to our sauce here. It's not going up as quickly as I would like it to, but we're just going to give it a little bit of a stir. Now, the trick with doing this is that it's extra helpful if you have a second set of hands on deck. So
someone can just keep stirring. Do you want me to do that a little bit?
No. We're going to just leave this. But when we get to the point where we are going to be pouring it on top of here, it's going to set very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And so you've got to stir up your popcorn and get it rolling as quickly as possible so that it tastes delicious.
Doesn't like bunch up in one spot. Or you have huge clumps here and
But I do have a trick for that.
Yeah.
Because my first time making this, I had some globs I wasn't happy with. While you're making this, set your oven to about 200 degrees. And then once you do your first spin, throw the roasting rack back into the oven, let it heat up again because that heat is going to melt the caramel again.
Yeah.
And then you can re-stir it.
That's a good trick.
Yes. So this year you're looking at 2 teams. It's like red and gold, basically. So I went and got some colored M&Ms, and I took half of them and I actually just ran them through my coffee grinder. So it's going to give them that little like candy coating.
Yeah.
And so once the popcorn is coated and it's covered and it's got the stickiness to it, that's going to sit on there, and you're going to get just a little bit of the crunch and the extra sweetness.
Of course, sometimes this pan just doesn't want to heat up as quick, or is this oven, but otherwise this is still the process itself. In addition to the brown sugar and the bacon fat, of course, you had a good amount of butter you put in there.
So equal part butter for your brown sugar, and then what you're going to add is a little vanilla. That's just going to give it some added flavor. And then the trick is a little bit of cream of tartar and baking soda, and that's going to help it just have a nice consistency as you pour it over the popcorn. So we're getting pretty close here.
Okay.
And so I'm going to add in that vanilla.
I see.
And that's going to give it a little reaction there.
Yeah,
there's
your science experiment that's suddenly happening. Wow.
Exactly. Adding something in there that's not supposed to be there. And then this is the cream of tartar and baking soda, and you just add that in there, Again, there's science behind it, but it's been many, many years since I did the caramelization experiment.
So this has got you're using, like you said, the rubber spatula specifically,
Yes.
as opposed to just using like a steel spoon.
All right, now this is where I'm gonna need your help.
Okay.
So we're gonna go over to
Switch
pour
sides.
this over the top.
And so then I have to
You just start stirring.
Okay. Am I folding it?
Fold it. So we're gonna just keep going right now.
Okay.
And like I said, you can always reheat this and in the oven and give it a little bit more heat to melt it.
Oh, the smell right now.
What's so great about the bacon fat is when you get a kernel that's just covered in it, you really taste it. So I'm gonna keep you stirring here. And I'm gonna grab our bacon bits. And what's nice about the bacon is it gives it just a little bit of that crisp, and it'll attach itself in some of those really sticky parts. We've got our candy coating, and it's so fun because it gets this bright color, and it just...
like a fun little dusting on there.
Yes.
This is, you know, you get the big popcorn tin around Christmas, and you get that, but to smell it freshly made is another story.
When you walk into like the old-fashioned candy store and they've got the caramel corn going.
That's what's happening right now, but much stronger.
All right,
Feels better 'cause
so
you made it.
we have this going, and you're gonna get stuff on the bottom, and that's just fine because when you transfer it out into a bowl. So now the trick with the M&Ms is once you get it set, so we're gonna say that for now this is great.
Sure.
We're gonna pour these over the top, and then we're gonna leave them because everything in here is hot because of that caramel.
Oh, so you
and we
get a
don't
little
want
melt
we want a little melt, but if you
melt.
spin them or move them around, they're gonna turn to mush.
And all the color's gonna come off. You
Yes.
still want a little bit of that so it pops with your selection.
And I like it.
and
It's a little bit gopher pride.
And this is kind of where we finish out.
This is where we finish out, and it's unbelievable.
I'm like specifically looking for the bacon. I'll be digging through that later. Okay. Any other little recipes, anything that comes to mind that you want to remind people besides popcorn? That was already one that I was not expecting.
Anything that you can do ahead of time. So if you can make a dip tonight, tomorrow morning, put it in the crock pot, save yourself the time and effort and the stress. And that's always a great option.
Smart idea. Make the stuff the night before, plan ahead. Thank you so much for coming on, as always, Lindsay.
Thank you so much for having me.
We will look forward to taking care of this for you in the newsroom. All right, for more information on this recipe and several others, just go to Lindsay's blog. We have a link to it on WCCO.com. Stay with us. The news at 10. We'll be right back.